Okay, so we're going to start practice seated, which I don't often do, in part because I feel like so many of us actually need that laying flat, spinal decompression, and so on. But there's some lovely benefits to seated practice, and I just felt inspired today to kind of get into that. So I want you to notice if you go to sit and your knees are up higher than your hips like this, that's a great indicator that you need a little more something under your butt so that the knees can come kind of even or even down. Something else that can help if you're on like one of the square kind of soft blocks or a bolster is if you shift your hips forward so they're right at that front edge, there's often then a natural downward splay of the thigh bones that sometimes makes it more comfortable. And if all of this just does not work for your ankle, for your knee, your hip, remember you could be out in a straddle. If you're doing that, I wouldn't want you up high because then your knees will hyperextend. So then you would come down lower, you know, maybe to the blanket or all the way to the floor. Sometimes my version is one leg in, one leg out. I really find that to feel very stable and so on. And of course, you know, if you're attracted to some of the seated stuff, but sitting period does not work for you, you can always do this sitting on a bench or a ottoman or, you know, what have you. I'm so glad you could come. Thanks for the text. Absolutely. I always say to people, like, you know, if you can't get here right when class starts, that's cool. I'm like, but don't hurry. Like once you notice, you're like, man, I'm not gonna get there at a time. I'm like, don't rush. We actually, I loved Jan, your word scurry this weekend. I was actually thinking about that a bunch on Sunday. She made the comment, you know, about how we scurry here and we scurry there. And I've talked about that, the weird body things we do when we hurry, right? Head forward and all that. So in this seated position actually is a really nice place to notice what's going on from the base of our spine. We're on those sits bones, those two bony guys at the base of the butt. And as you rise up through your crown of your head, like, you know, you're pushing up into the ceiling, I want you to notice what you do. Do you tend to lift your chin? Because if so, that's actually going to tighten through here. And I think a lot of us do that when we're trying to like stand up straight. And it's actually not a good alignment, but it's, I think, kind of a habit. So I want you to notice, what does it feel like if you draw your chin back towards the base of the skull, almost give yourself a double chin. And then I want you just to continue to go a little forward and back through that chin. And in a sense, by doing this, you're massaging that line of connection all the way from the occipital ridge and joints all the way down into that area between the shoulder blades, where I find so many of us carry a lot of torque and tension. You feel a little bit like a turtle? Good. Good. So then if you could find what feels neutral. We're going to ever so slowly let one ear move towards one shoulder. You can go right or left, whatever you'd like. If you can, if it's not too much, just hang out there for a few breaths. Slow, deep and wide, in and out through the nose. If you're stuffy and you need to breathe through the mouth, of course, please do. When you're ready to come back up, just use your hand to support the head so that those stretched muscles aren't having to work. Then we'll go slowly to the other side, and we're so curious, is this side different? Is it difficult to let your shoulder relax down and away? As you breathe, do you feel the stretch move? I always say yoga is like a little massage you give yourself. So we want to be really attentive and find those just right angles, pressures. And again, as you're ready, you'll use your hand to support the head up. And then I want you to just move your head in the smallest circle, like you're just drawing a little circle on the ceiling as if you had a pencil attached to the top of your head. And what I notice is that just after that stretch, that side to side stretch, I feel quite loose comparatively. I guess I didn't have you guys do it beforehand, but. And then if you would take your hands to your chest, if you're able to get your hands actually on your skin, that is helpful. So I'm kind of tucking my hands in, however you need to do it to the best of your ability. And you're essentially just having your hands flat and pulling down on your skin as you inhale and reach up through the chin. And then release it. And again. The next time you're in that reach mode, hold and wag your head right and left. And for some of us who are really tight, we're gonna feel all those connections right up and under the jawbone. Anybody besides me? Yeah, wow, right? Awesome. And then release and just gently settle your chin towards your chest. So the rest of the spine is still long. For some of you, this just won't feel like anything. And others of us are feeling those very direct connections, noticing how breath helps to begin massaging those tight spots. And once again, you can notice by wagging your head a little right, you're looking at your right knee, left. And what's more, finding what feels like neutral and just seeing if you feel, I hope, a little looser. Okay, I'm gonna do a Kundalini practice or movement. And so we're gonna be circling. And what I wanna point out is I'm not circling and trying to stir the world with my head. I'm mostly staying upright and I'm just circling through the ribs. And I've talked to a couple people who are just recovering from one of those viruses that's been going around, one of which makes people cough a lot. And so some of you might be a little sore through that rib cage. I'm hoping this will actually help. So if you want to have some intentional fun with me, you could go counterclockwise. So you're going left and forward and then back and then right. A lot of cultures consider counterclockwise movement, like especially Sufi dancing, to be an unwinding of patterns, habits, belief systems. So it can be kind of fun to get intentional. Just noticing where you feel stretches, where you feel activation of your core. At some point, we're going to switch and we consider the clockwise movement pattern building. So putting intention into place, goals, visioning. Is there any particular kind of energy you're trying to build in your body, your being, your life at this time? Maybe a single word like peace or spaciousness or equanimity, self-love, clarity. I'm gonna ask you to just slow it down even a little bit from where you are. Notice if there are any little stuck spots, and you might want to pause at that point and just breathe into it. So I find this to be a really lovely kind of lubricating movement, but also self-awareness gathering, right? We now know more than we did when we walked in this morning. And next we're going to do a little forward and back movement. And this is, again, just really key that we're trying to move mostly through the ribs. So it's inhaling, think about sending kind of your heart and xiphoid process forward, and then exhaling, draw it back. So it's kind of like cow-cat, right? We're going to do a few of these very, very slow and use this to get deeper into our breath. This is almost like compression and expansion breathing, right? On that exhale, we're in a position that we can squeeze and breath is the first place for decluttering and energy gathering. You guys sound great. I hear some nice ujjayi happening. If you're enjoying slow, keep that going. If you're game to speed it up with me a little bit, please do. So it's inhale, exhale. And again, the head is just responding. So are the knees. My knees are kind of lifting as I go back. I'm not making them do that. That's just responding to my spine and hip alignment. Just a few more. And once more, find your neutral. We'll do one last stretch in this position. I'm going to plant my right hand to the floor. It might be fingertips, depending on your height, right? And we're going to reach up through that other arm at whatever angle feels right. So I'm kind of going up and then over the side and letting my head rotate towards the floor. And I'm going to take a few active breaths there, letting my body bob on the wave. And at some point, exploring the other side. Throughout our practice today, reminding you this is your practice. So anytime your instincts are saying, oh man, I need to stay here, go there, please do. And forgive me because I did not warn you this was coming, but next I would invite you to assemble something that can go under your bra strap for that reclined position that we do. And I'd be happy to deliver to anybody that wants it. All blanket potentially under the head. And it'd be wonderful if you're up on the block. That's often a bit much. Right, excellent. Anybody feeling like a little something? Yeah. And get towards your waist. We kind of want it at the bra strap so that your shoulder heads end up draping down towards the floor. And that's what gives the wingtips of the shoulder blades an opportunity to tuck in towards the body. And that's what will help release that pesky trapezius muscle. Yeah. And right here, we can provide such a beautiful massage experience by rotating the head left and right. Obviously, if you're feeling any pinching when you do that, you know, sometimes it's that, again, the head is dropping too far down. We definitely invite that stretch through the throat, but we don't want to have compression in the back. Anybody else feeling like a little something under their head would make this better? I love that you're noticing. I often say in yoga, one of the things we're doing is seeking the ah, right? So whenever I ask somebody, how you doing? They're like, oh, it's okay. I'm like, oh, we're so Midwestern. No, seek the ah. Why not? Right? When we can choose delicious over okay, heck yeah. So let's explore the rest of the shoulder by taking one arm up towards the ceiling. Thumb is facing the floor as you slowly reach for the wall behind you. So don't let the elbow bend. Keep a very active reach for that wall. And then ever so slowly letting the arm kind of come out 90 degrees to your side and then back in towards the ear. So you might be kind of exploring like a quarter of a ply shape. Yeah, and as that arm comes towards the ear, what would it feel like to rotate your face away from the arm? And actually, yeah, and it might feel really great to do that when your arm is out as well. I hadn't thought about that. And then you might relax that arm and take a full breath, just inviting such a beautiful spaciousness. And then let's explore the other side. Anybody finding any good nuggets in there? At some point, relaxing both arms. If you're still comfortable here, 3 sighing breaths, otherwise come off, lay flat. Inhaling slow, deep and wide through the nose, being filled with all that beautiful oxygen. Releasing it. Any patterns, any tension, any staleness, any clutter, just moving right out with an exhale. Then inviting you to roll to one side to come off of your block or object of support. And then we'll lay flat. And in this moment, the spine is being invited to decompress, right? Gravity has no hold on it here. So just sort of seeing from the inside how breath is touching you. We're going to be getting really active here in our compression and expansion breathing, and I'll be offering add-ons, rock pose, sit up, and so on. But I want to make sure before we go there that you are tuned in to a relaxed tongue, maybe just the tip of it, roof of the mouth, behind the front teeth, relaxed, spacious jaw and mouth, maybe even a soft smile on the face. And that neck, of course, beautifully liquid, so that on this next exhale, when you're ready and you begin compressing every bit of breath out, belly towards spine, spine towards floor, it only happens in that center body. Emptying, emptying, emptying. When the inhale comes, you might decide to sweep arms overhead or just lay and receive, totally up to you. And then at the very end of the inhale, stick in a little extra. Get that extra stretch, not only into the chest, I hope maybe into your upper back, clavicle. Is there more? At any point, you could turn this into rock pose, where the exhale compression is also about tightening the whole body, hands into fists, maybe you're flexing the feet or kind of pointing them, arms into your sides, butt cheeks, thighs, and if you want, you can even add a sit-up. I also love the experience in this flow of compression expansion of doing and non-doing. So we get to practice going from hyper engaged, really scrunching up your face, to just becoming receptive, soft. This moment, this body, this breath. We'll do just a few more. If you haven't yet, during your compression, please practice a few times flexing firmly through the heel and powering down through your thigh bones. I find a lot of us don't have a great communication with those quadriceps. They're tight but kind of weak and not involved. So see if you can really push down with those muscles. You guys look fantastic. Right? The next time you're inhaling, again, just relax, enjoy. Then we'll gather the right knee into the belly, release, wind pose. We're going to be doing some just nice mobility stuff here. If you can have your left leg extended thigh anchoring, great. If your low back is being bothered, then plant your foot. Otherwise, right here, inviting your right knee in a circle. So I'm going to kind of let go of it and hold it. So I'm using my right hand to kind of bring it out to the right, then I'm going to let go a little as I complete the circle away from me. So just exploring that range of motion. The next time your knee is up towards you, go ahead and hold it. See if you can clasp your foot with your left hand and draw that towards your left hip bone. And I find that just some subtle movement here can get me some pretty fantastic stretches into my hamstrings and inner thigh, I T-band, right? So if you let the knee come away from you a little, and then out to the right, and then across a little to the left. Then we're gonna inhale and extend that leg straight up to the sky. You might point and flex and roll through the ankles. Exhale, root the low back and slowly descend that leg as if you're kind of painting a stripe on the wall in front of you. Checking in with the neck and practicing melting with gravity. Guide the left knee into the belly. Again, right heel flexing away and beginning your exploration of circling. And you can circle whichever direction you want. I just happen to kind of be inclined to come in with my knee and then out. I find sometimes people get kind of impingements if they try to bring the knee too far towards the center line while it's up towards the chest. Notice that using your core to anchor here is really helpful. And at some point, we'll clasp both the knee and the foot, drawing them up the center body as far as we can, receiving a loving massage. Remember that having your heel flexed here will protect both your ankle and your knee. You got it. And you can even practice rotating the head side to side while you've got this powerhouse thing happening in your arms. Isn't it great to remember we don't need to use the neck to be strong? Let's extend that left leg to the sky again. Point, flex, and roll. Exhale, root. Slowly paint that stripe. And melting. Inhaling slow, deep and wide as if it's all you'd ever do. Exhale, hold out for abdominal pumping. Drawing that abdomen in towards the spine, then pushing it towards the ceiling, all without breathing until you need to. Marvelous. All right, we're gonna come up into hands and knees for tabletop, however you want to get there. You might spiral rock or just gently press up from one side. I'm going to ask you to, again, make this very organic. So the main movement is that we're inhaling, tailbone back, heart forward, exhaling, cat back. But during all of that, you might find side to side movements to be really lovely. One of the beautiful things I find during cow pose when we're in that arch is if I hold until there's that absolute last sip of inhale, I can feel sometimes a stretch up into the clavicle or even way down into the low belly. So think about kind of pushing more breath in, kind of extending the belly and so on. All right, as you are ready, that next exhale is going to take us to our first downward facing dog of the day. I like widening my hands a little bit. I just find it feels better through my neck. And intelligent rooted palms, bent knees, send those hips up and back. And again, I'm going to ask you to get organic, taking the hips side to side. And what I notice to the hips, especially after so much physicality this weekend, we were sailing as well, and we flew the spinnaker for the first time. Boy, was that cool, but also a lot of work. What I'm noticing is I can get a stretch into my armpit and rib cage during this hip side to side. Anybody else getting that? Yeah, nice. And then ever so slowly, walk your hands back to your feet in ragdoll. Knees stay bent. Stay liquid through the spine. Let the decompression with gravity's help now continue as you hang from your hips. You can let that head hang, maybe even give it a little yes and a little no shake. We're gonna come up, and I'm gonna ask you to do it in a very specific way. Do not begin to lift through the back. That's, I know we're often taught that. Instead, I'm gonna ask you to sit to chair. So in one movement, drop your butt with your knees bent like you're sitting in a chair. Beautiful. Inhaling, root and rise. Exhaling, prayer hands. I'm gonna bring us into some spinal twisting, and I'm gonna ask you to, sorry, cobweb on my face. Make this liquid. In other words, I think I notice in myself sometimes in my practice, I get really goal oriented, like how far can I go? And that can also create a lot of tension that isn't helpful. So like I said, make this liquid. So for now, we're just gonna inhale and sweep up, exhale, rotate right, and let those arms open. And inhale up, exhale, rotate left, arms open. And I'm gonna have us just speed it up, so the breath is gonna be kind of pumping. However fast you feel that you can. It's a little bit of a bellows breath, but not quite that fast, right? But you're using that powerful pump of your abdomen. Beautiful. And I'm hoping you guys are feeling some of the interesting work that comes into that kind of back rib cage. So when I rotate right and I drop that right arm back, I feel some movement and work through these muscles here. We're gonna just add our knee here, so we'll slow it back down. Inhaling up. I'm gonna ask you to raise your right knee. Exhale, rotate right and hold. And again, with no goal that you're pointing or looking straight back. We don't care. Inhaling, return center. Might feel good to push the ceiling away. Exhale, rotating left and lifting that left knee and holding. And you can move the head if looking back and holding it's bothersome on your neck. Let's do that one more time. Notice, of course, when you're balancing, if you're wobbling, some of us will tend to tighten the neck or the mouth, and it doesn't help. It's just a bad habit. Inhaling, when you come back to center your last time, root and rise, maybe a big glute squeeze. Exhaling, fold. Hands slide up the shins. Inhale, jackknife, extending halfway up. Exhaling, core support. We're gonna just kind of walk slowly our hands forward and come into a plank. Now, if being on your wrists even this long is bothersome, come right away to forearm plank and or drop your knees. But right here, we're gonna do a little pulling up of one hand at a time towards our chest. And I'm gonna try to do this without rocking the body a lot. So again, you could be doing this in table as an alternate or a knee down plank. Looking good. Again, no neck effort, shoulders are down the back. Let's do just a couple more. Maybe speed it up. And then slowly on down. Resting on the forehead, roll those wrists out and then intertwine the fingers, yoga mudra. Anchor through the glutes and your thigh bones. Yeah. And then as you're ready, press your knuckles towards the wall behind you. Yeah. And then see if you can bring your hands up off of your butt. And if it just hurts or doesn't feel good, do it. If you're not really getting anywhere, it can feel great to put your hands on a strap and get a little distance. And all of a sudden, you might find a massage into your upper back that could feel so good. And with the strap, sometimes, even a little increment makes a difference. So give yourself less or more and experiment until it feels just right. And then settling your head to one side. Deep breath. For fun, let's turn your head the other side. I'd love you to notice if there's any distinct difference. Sometimes we don't even realize that we have better rotation one direction than another. All right. We're gonna do some very focused work in our upper and mid back. And again, I really am hoping we can do it without any tension gathering, any striving in the neck area. So we're gonna do our little jet airplane adventure. Palms are facing the floor. And I actually like starting with the fingertips tented, like I'm holding a softball between my palm and the floor. And I think the reason I like that is it makes me less floppy. I know where my hands are, but also it makes it easier to invite the shoulder heads to circle away from the floor and down the spine. You can kind of spider walk your hands further back. Then as you're ready, anchoring through pelvic triangle, pubic bone and hips and thigh bones. Slowly extend, inhaling into your jet airplane. Maybe the head comes off the floor, maybe not, just notice what feels right. Exhale, return. We're gonna do a number of those inhales, extending, and exhale, returning. Oh. Yes. Yeah, don't try to have the hands right next to the hips. They're really out at kind of a 45-degree angle, maybe 30, like it just, whatever allows you to feel that you can get that shoulder blade sandwich and feel naturally extended through the arm to the middle finger. Yeah, so maybe this just feels great. This is the right level of work for where you're at today, and you're working on refinement, subtlety, I love it. Or maybe you'd like to do a little more movement. So the next time, holding in your flight, sweeping one arm forward, one arm back, counter reaching, and then switching. And you know that movement of sweeping the arms to the outside, if you do it slowly, you get, I think, better feedback about where those crunchy spots are, yeah? I can't be the only one with crunch, no? Okay, good. And in your own time, release, again, settle your head to one side. Sometimes it feels marvelous to rock the hips here. I've been told that this is actually good for mood as well, and I'm guessing it helps regulate the vagus nerve. You could also bend the knees, windshield wiper the legs. We're going to come into our quadricep stretch here. I know some people prefer standing. You're welcome to do that, or on your side. I've been teaching that over the summer, the option of going to your side. And some people, it's a little bit of a balancing pose, but of course you can always, use your arm, your free arm. But some people find that they get less hamstring cramps or what have you that way. If you're on your belly, I advise taking one forearm in front and using that as your support to reach for that first ankle. And then you also can just settle your forehead back onto it, which I like. Once you've got a hold of the ankle, check your knee alignment. We'd like it to swing back into alignment with the hip. So if you're on your side, you need your hip to drop, your knee drop a little. Yeah, some people find that easier. And if you're on your side and the balance part is hard, put something on your head and you can use your free arm. Yep, thank you, yes, and we want the other leg straight. And always the breath is our change agent. It's how we get to the edge in these stretches. Yeah. Rolling and rolling. I know, like I said, the side body one adds a little balance element. When you feel complete, we'll switch. Again, super curious about any side to side differences. I am so happy for you that you chose to spend a little time just being in your body this morning, giving it some love and nourishment. I really hope it makes it more fun to be you the whole week. And it's a beautiful week. Gorgeous. All right. So an opportunity here for those of you who like bow pose, where your body can receive it. I'm gonna just show that if you alternatively don't want to do bow pose for any reason, it bothers your body, but you want kind of a back bend. Some people enjoy doing this as an option that also gets you a nice stretch through the thighs like that. One of the reasons I love bow and hate bow is it's very intense to breathe into that deep front body stretch, and you're on your abdomen. So it's actually kind of awesome that way, but not exactly comfortable. So you would, once again, clasp one ankle, then the other, nice core support. I'm already squeezing my glutes. Let the shoulder blades come towards each other. Work the knees back towards each other if they flared out. Flare your yoga toes. There, we want to flare. And as you're ready, inhale, ankles press into the hands, let your shoulder heads be drawn back, and perhaps the chest and head come off the floor. Exhaling, you might settle again, and do this a few more times. If you're feeling low back pressure, make sure you're pressing the ankles back and not up towards the ceiling. And also make sure you're squeezing your glutes down and the knees are straight back. We want those knees kind of focused inward. Yeah. And release, press back to your child's pose or whatever else might be calling you. You know, it's interesting that a lot of us, you know, in this culture, and especially if we've had certain jobs like being a teacher or a medical caregiver or what have you, that a lot of us have developed such a habit of suppressing our body's demands that we have a difficult time even recultivating that conversation where we can hear the body when we ask, what would it like? And what I love, I think, about yoga, maybe more than anything, is that it does develop the noticer in us and that internal communication that I think makes such a difference. We're going to return to our knees when you feel ready. I want to take us into our shoulder tractioning movement. Again, those of you who already have some sore ribs, you might really feel this, but I'm hoping to both ignite and stretch these muscles that are actually a massive part of shoulder health, in the hopes that we can let go of this even a little more, right? So we're kind of focusing on releasing those neck and trapezius muscles. So you start off in table and then come down onto one forearm, stay on the other hand. If you can bring that forearm just a little towards the center line, do, and I don't mean all the way to center, I just mean a little in from where you landed it. Then make sure both shoulders are anchored and then you're in your core, like almost a tuck of the tailbone. Good, take a nice long inhale. Exhale, traction down and back with that forearm while you send the hips back. So I'm not actually moving my arm, but I'm engaging powerfully down and back as if I wanted to pull my elbow towards my knee. And then inhaling, return, and exhaling, repeat. So we'll do this about 5 or 6 times on one side. If you're not feeling much, it's usually that your elbow's too close to your knee. It's too acute an angle. So try that out. Please let me know if anybody's got questions or you're like, I'm not doing it right. And your practice, of course, is all about softening the jaw, the tongue, the eyebrows, taking beautiful, luscious inhales. This has the opportunity to release the fascia all around the shoulder joint and ribs. Cool, let's do the other side and see if it's different. I forgot to say one of my favorite things is to hold in the back position and take a deep inhale there. I have to say, when we were flying the spinnaker and I was basically controlling two ropes, it's basically like a huge kite. I realized, like, again, what fun kite flying is. And I don't know why we don't do it as adults, but I had planned, I just haven't done it yet. I want to buy a couple of really high quality kites for Third Mountain. Because it's just, you know, wide open space, it's windy. I mean, what a fun thing to do, right? I don't know why we stopped doing that stuff when we're adults. It's silly. All right, as you're ready, come on out. We're gonna go into a little cow cat and take it to downward facing dog again. And I'm hoping you might feel that you have a different set of shoulders and so on as you take it up. And you send your hips to one side and then the other. And then we're gonna do a little strengthening here. And if it feels like too much in downward dog, go to table. Ever so slowly, core support, take right leg flying, heel flex. You should be able to look under and see your toes pointing straight down. Good. Then bend the knee, rotate your right knee, basically rotate your right hip open so your knee is kind of pointing at the wall. Keep sending your torso towards your left leg. Take one more big inhale. And if you want to look under your right armpit, go for it. And then we're going to bring that right knee forward into pigeon. Now, I rarely teach pigeon this way. If you want to go into pigeon alternate, you can. But what makes this kind of pigeon usually most unsafe for people is because they've seen the cranking of the foot up. You don't want to do that. I want you to just bring the knee forward. My right heel is actually by my left kind of hip bone, pubic bone. And then settle onto your forearms. Try to stack your head onto either your fists or the hands or something comfy. Begin to blossom breath all the way from the hip up into the neck. And I'm going to offer some bellows breathing here. Sometimes also called breath of fire. They can be a little bit different, but essentially rapid in and out through the nose. And you're using that powerful abdominal contraction towards the spine to create the exhale. And then as you're ready, big inhale, lift the chest and head. Exhale, resettle the head. Marvelous. Taking all the time you like. Join me in planting the hands and drawing the heart forward. Just a little waving pigeon movement. If this is bothersome, come out. Otherwise, see what it would feel like to just, I'm going to reposition my right hand a little center to help me balance. But I'm going to reach that left arm forward. And I'm going to just keep reaching. And I'm going to rotate my face a little to the right and allow another lengthening through that left side. And then slowly release out. I'm gonna go to table so I can just enjoy loving up that right knee and hip. And as they're ready, we'll come to downward facing dog again, or table pose if that's where you're practicing. So as you take that left leg flying, heel flex, ideally you should see no movement in your shoulders or elbows. They stay straight and active. Yeah. Then bend that knee if you like and open that hip. The knee basically stays sort of straight back from the hip. Yeah, you guys got it. It's going up more than out. I kind of didn't say it very well on the other side. Looking good. Slow journey. Use your core. Bring that left knee forward into pigeon. or pigeon alternate. Moving slowly down. Again, please find a way to relax the neck. Big belly breath, expanding it all the way down into the low back, into the hip. Is this side different? If you do want a little more intensity, you can use your back foot to pull back a little bit. Again, if you feel anything nasty in the knee, then you don't do it. Please join me in another round of bellows breath with that big breath release at the end. This is a wonderful decluttering, pumping in and out, in and out, and in and out, and then a big inhale. Beautiful. And you can come out however you like. You can return to table like I did. Sometimes in my own practice, I'll be like, I just want to come out like this, and I'll just sit onto that hip and release the legs, whatever feels good to you. Oh, we forgot to do the reach, didn't we? God, you guys are good. Your body's reminded you, right? You're like, I'm not coming out yet. Yeah, thank you. Come up to your waving pigeon. Good call. Reach that right arm forward. And again, you can see how letting your head move away from the arm just gives you a better body stretch without the neck tension, right? Nice work, folks. Again, you might give a little kick. All right, I'm gonna invite us in dog series. If you know that is not where your body needs to go, then find something that feels good. Just cow-cat is marvelous spinal pumping. We're gonna take it up a little notch with dog series, which again, great spinal pumping, great core work. And this should be way more about your core than your upper body. As you're ready, inhaling, flowing into your plank. Remember to squeeze those inner thighs as if you've got a block between them. Beautiful. Otherwise, also you could drop your knees. Exhaling chaturanga, bend those elbows and check that you're not using your neck, you're not hiking the shoulders. Inhaling cobra. Anchor the hips as you peel your shoulders down your back. Exhaling either child's pose or downward facing dog. Let's find 3 side breaths. Excellent. We're going to come into a little warrior flow, and those of you who want to come from downward dog, great. Otherwise, just join us. We're going to take that right leg flying, and we'll all be meeting with our right foot at the front of the mat as we come up into our crescent lunge, or if you prefer warrior one, you can drop that back foot. But we're going to be doing a little twisting, and I do find it easier on the ball of the foot than if the foot is flat. Just make sure you're not over twisting your knee if you've got that foot flat. Otherwise, right here, inhaling center, exhaling, rotating right. Right? We did this earlier. Now it's a little more of a balance challenge. We'll do that twice more. Inhaling center. If you like adding a back bend and it doesn't bother your neck or your back, you can do that. Otherwise, this is a great place to practice neutral. Remember that chin towards the base of the skull. Marvelous. Inhaling center, and then exhaling, we'll open to our warrior two. We'll plant that back foot 90. And we want to check as we send the hips forward that the knee is tracking with the foot. And then settling into your version of the pose. Maybe palms are open to the sky. Maybe you're looking behind, forward, to the side. Oh, I'm so happy. Actually, I feel like I'm seeing people kind of lift and settle more than usual. Really letting your breath take you today. I'm going to leave my hips in a settled position while I reach up through the right arm. If you prefer to straighten it, you can. I'm going to pause here in this position and keep kind of pulsing my reach. So I'm relaxing my Just a little pulse, you got it. A little work for that thigh. All right, let's come into our lateral stretch, elbow to thigh. And here's how I tend to enter it. I put my left hand on my hip bone as my reminder to peel that left hip bone back, but without taking the right knee out of alignment. So you want your knee to stay straight forward. You're actually externally rotating the thighs so that the butt is kind of sending towards the left edge of the mat. And then again, I'm gonna pulse my arm. So I'm reaching through that left arm, and then I'm gonna relax it, and I'm gonna pulse it and relax it. And then I'm gonna circle my arm and take my feet into straddle. So as you're ready, you'll just turn that right foot and fold. And I'm gonna go side to side because that always feels so good to me. If your feet aren't wide enough, you might feel that your knee is trying to shove past your foot. Good, let's go to one side and hold for a breath or two. You guys look great. Those of you who are going to join me in warrior on the other side from downward dog, simply walk your hands to the front of the mat. Everyone else, you might just walk your feet to the front of the mat so that you're able to step back into your crescent lunge. Downward facing dog, left leg flying. And a little tip here, when you bring that left foot forward, if you're having a hard time getting it all the way forward under your knee, grab your ankle and bring it forward. And then steer that left hip bone back, right hip bone forward. It'll put you in a really strong position for coming up without stressing your back. So I'm keeping my back knee bent a little bit, as you can see, because I find otherwise I get kind of overstretched in my hip flexors. Exhaling and rotating left, and inhaling center. So as you're doing this, again, make sure you're not causing tension in the neck by trying to look too far behind you. We don't care. Maybe you're not even looking behind you. You might be looking still forward or barely to the side. Inhaling, returning to your center. Is there more? Ooh, I forgot to tell you one of my favorite movements, so I'm doing it. Hands up behind the head, and then just sending your elbows back, ribs forward a little bit. And then as you're ready, opening up to warrior two. And generally, the deeper the lunge, the better this is gonna feel, actually. Again, letting the breath lift and settle. Don't let that knee move, looking good. And as you're ready, I'm gonna keep those hips settled, and I'm gonna begin to reach up and relax. And reach up. You can admire your beautiful back foot, the toes spreading and anchoring. Look at how powerful you are. And then slow journey, elbow to thigh. And I'm using my right hand on my right hip bone to kind of remind me to send my left kind of hip and butt towards the right edge of the mat. Basically, again, it's externally rotating the thighs. Yeah, and then pumping that top arm if you like. Not worried. Okay, yeah, very good. I know it'll make you feel a little bit. Right. Okay, pretty good. And then if you're ready, you might circle that arm and rotate out to straddle one more time. And there's so many fun things to do in straddle. There's the going side to side like we just did. Sometimes I'll bend the knees deeply and I'll do a little cow-cat movement here. Sometimes it feels good to drop your hip to one side and then release the sole of the other foot. This is one of my favorites actually also for side body stretching. So if your knee will allow this movement, it's kind of fun that you reach forward through your hands. So I've got my left knee bent and I've got my left hand kind of here, and I'm reaching out from my body with my right arm. And it's kind of amazing how it enhances the stretch. Yeah. If you're hungry for another yoga mudra, as you come back to center, you might even do a non-dominant hand clasp. So in other words, if it feels most natural for you to have your left thumb on top, reweave so that your right thumb is on top. And actually, this position with strap is really fun because it gives you so much more freedom to have those arms come further. It's great. Yes, you got it. And slowly releasing. I'm going to ask you to please just scan your body and notice, what does it want now? Are you craving one more round of dog series? Walk those hands to the front of the mat. Are you craving child's pose? Are you craving another quad stretch? Because by the way, that was a very deep fold in the other direction. So we're always interested in the partnering muscle groups. This is a stretch I do a lot throughout the day. It just helps balance out all the other ways that we live, and feels so good. Awesome, and then please have a block handy. We're gonna do our support under the sacral triangle. I encourage you, unless you do not like it, to do the knee bend first. So I'm just gonna plant my feet, raise my hips, send the block under the sacral triangle, settle the hips and hold there. The only other amendment I usually make is I kind of tuck my shoulder blades in and down, and I find that that really creates more ease in the upper spine and neck. And this is meant to be restorative, so seeking the ah. And I'm going to bring us into a waterfall from here. And to do that most comfortably, bring one knee at a time into the belly. Then send them both feet to the ceiling. And just pulsing a little, sending the feet over the head can be quite lovely. Unless if you've got like a really hard block, sometimes that will be poking into your lower spine, which is not great. And then you can also do a straddle, which might feel amazing. When you're ready to come out, bring those knees back together, and then again, 1 foot at a time returns to the floor. And then I'm going to extend the legs in that final position on the block, still with the pelvis. When you do the leg straightening, if you feel your pelvis kind of dump down forward, the block needs to go further down. This is an amazing stretch for restoring the openness of the front line, all through hip flexors, psoas, diaphragm. I never hold it like longer than a minute. I think just because again, it can, because it's not a neutral shape, then it can make you tighten. Please take all the time you need here, and then when you come off, I find it helpful to again plant the feet so that you can gently raise the hips, remove the block, give yourself a moment in neutral. Notice what that feels like. We're going to close with an expression of bridge pose as our one kind of final active pose. You might be like, nah, I'm done. That's cool. That's totally cool. You might also be like, ooh, I want forearm plank, actually. That's where I'm going to head, or what have you. By all means, feel free. But bridge pose is such an amazing posture. And we don't really, I don't teach it a lot as a health pose. We do it a lot as a strengthening and kind of reformatting pose. So I think it would be helpful to go in and out a few times before you choose to hold it. But then when you do, you might want a block between your thighs. Please work very thoughtfully to get the shoulder blades towards each other and the upper arms underneath. Either to just then let the hands relax out, palms open, or to intertwine one more time in Yoga Mudra. Lifting the chin up and back will reduce the neck pull and pressure. Now we're gonna breathe here and very specifically think about raising the ribs up away from the arms. Again, make sure if you're not using a block between the thighs, you're imagining one. Sending the knees away from you, the heart up and back towards your face. And this is your pose, this is your edge to find and breathe into, and then to notice when you're complete. When that time comes, you might release to belly, you might take it briefly into happy baby, you might take it briefly into some spinal twisting. Maybe you're taking your knees side to side and opening that back arm. And then in your own time, finding what would be your best restorative pose today. If anyone would like a bolster who doesn't have one, you want to do a recline. Instead of doing that, so you can see what that looks like. Make a bolster. Sometimes having something under your knees can make the difference to your low back. Legs up the wall can be amazing. If you like that straddle during waterfall, you can recreate that by scooching your butt up to the wall. That can be quite amazing. Now I want to come around and offer a shoulder press. Please give me a wave now if you'd like me to skip you today. Thank you. Intentionally leaving us a nice, luxurious time here to integrate. You guys have, I don't know how it's felt to you, but as your witness, it has looked very peaceful and powerful. You've really been attending to your body and your breath. And when we do that, it creates an opportunity for so much reorganization and renewal in our nervous system and brain and detoxification organs. So to help with that integration, you might just scan your body and invite a sense of sinking with gravity more deeply. Each exhale, down, down, and down.
And slowly expand your breath. With each breath, let your awareness gently rise, sensing your body, light awareness growing of the space around you, your fellow yogis, also making their journey back to the river of life that awaits us out there. Or you choose to re-enter the flow. I would say this is a powerful place to take with you any wisdom, body wisdom, what's needed for your body to feel whole, healthy, happy. It might affect your choices around stillness or movement, food, water, beverage intakes, how much to be social, how much to be solitary in this quiet space. Our being can hear its own needs and communicate them to us better. And I'm so happy you each made it to the mat today, and thank you. It's just a pleasure to be here together. The other thing, I am not here next Tuesday. I'm going to be out of town for a conference.
We do have practice both this Thursday and next Thursday at Third Mountain Retreat. Again, RSVP is requested. If you intend or hope to come, that would be very helpful. Otherwise, we'll be back again for next week. I'm out of town Sunday through Tuesday, so we'll get back on schedule. Om Shanti Shanti. Om peace, peace. Namaste.